Viewers of Citizens Network Gambia, welcome to this special edition of the current affairs happening in the country. My name is Babu Karsi, and on this special edition, we are visiting the Drug Law Enforcement Agency office along the Kairawa Avenue pipeline to discuss what many are talking about right now in society, in the country, which is drug-related issues in the country. I mean, illicit drugs, if you like. And I am very happy when I visited them today. I have the pleasure to meet with the PRO of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, Mr. Sediba. And of course, on my immediate right here is the head of the scientific unit coordinating the task force, is Commissioner Paboja. Um, the Everybody in the country right now is talking about drugs and what it is doing to our youth, and particularly Kush and Ginabas. I refuse to call it Ginabas because I cannot believe an athlete that continues to raise the flag of the country worldwide is named after a substance that is illegal. I still don't get it, and sometimes we journalists even amplify it by writing on our papers and reporting that Ginabas, Ginabas, Ginabas. I think we have to change that name and give it a name, but not a champion that continues to raise the flag. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for giving us this opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with you. I will start with you, Commissioner Pa Bojang. You are the head of the scientific unit, responsible for coordinating the task force in Kush, Ginabas, you name it. Our youths, are perishing. I live in an area that, I see a lot of youths, in that area using substances that are illegal and, takes them crazy for days. After your greetings, what is the task force doing in making sure that we curb these menace?
Thank you, Mr. C. Yeah, my name is Paboja. I'm delegate staff, member of the task force, and part of the coordinating committee. I can say I'm like head of the task force. Thank you for that question you raised or the concern you raised. I'm here on behalf of the task force, not as delegate staff. But whatever the task force is doing is just complementing the effort that delegate have been doing since inception. The issue of Gina bars is, it became something surprisingly because it have to do with illegal and health issues. Now, because it's a combination of two issues, that's why people are taking it seriously, and the social media also have overcome the situation itself. We are covered by the social media. The cause is a split of what is happening in Sierra Leone. We encountered in 2021, I can say we encountered a single case. 2022, things became silent. But notwithstanding, the agency was having a concern because the alarm was set. 2022, everything goes silent. But before going deep into those things, let's people try to understand the history itself. What is Ginabas itself? That's more important.
That's the question I wanted to ask. What is Ginabas?
This course is cannabis. We have different strengths of cannabis. In normal, we have three. We have the cannabis sativa, indica, and rudaya. Kush is cannabis indica.
Cannabis Thai?
Cannabis indica.
Kush?
Kush itself is cannabis indica.
No, what we've been told on social media is Kush is human bones that is pound and making the powder and people use. That's what everybody's saying in the Gambia.
Yeah, that's just like, when you look at my statement, I say there's some, how they say, social media is carrying out people. We are taken by social media. The course you found in Bakalar will not be the same the course you found in Boyankunda. Because science and technology is moving and it's a living thing. These chemists outside are also doing their way out to make money. Because the iPhone of yesterday is no more value of the iPhone 15 today in the market.
I agree.
Before these Kush and others, ecstasies, and you have strong and other things, there was the benzodiazepine in the market. We call the Ross and other things, clonazepam and everything. Today, it has reached to a pitch that those using it, consuming it, it doesn't have any effect. And the producers also need to make money.
Okay.
Because Kush is in the market, they have the name, they will do what they call additional cocktail to it. But the cocktail they are talking of, like human bones and other things, are not yet confirmed. We cannot ascertain to it in the Gambia as far as our research is concerned, our investigation is concerned. None of us say that there is no human bones, but the investigation conducted, preliminary investigation conducted as of now, we didn't find human bones, but we are doing advanced analysis to ascertain what are the products added to it. The product added to it is not yet confirmed, but as of today, we will tell you that there is high level of THC, that is the highest, the component of drug cannabis called tetrahydrocannabinol. Is more higher than sativa, is more higher than even rhodide.
In the country?
Yes, when you come up with this Kush issue.
Okay.
But added products, we are still doing because we did our analysis at our laboratory, local laboratory here. We found a limited investigation results. We extract samples, send it to Senegal. The results became the same, similar to Gambian results. But the management is not relenting. We are also extracting samples to send it for advanced analysis to ascertain the composition of Kush as of now.
If I understand you very well, it's like taking cannabis sativa, adding hash and other substances. It's the same thing that is happening with the Kush, because that used to happen in those days when they were to take the sativa, add other substances to make it stronger. So are you saying that is the same thing happening with the Kush that they're saying right now?
The pattern may be similar, but now they are using more toxic chemicals.
Okay, more dangerous.
More dangerous chemicals,
okay,
which are not even for human consumption. Because I'll just give a similar sample. Our operative arrested tramadol 225 milligrams. Tramadol in pharmaceutics for human consumption is between 50 to 100.
okay.
More than that, maybe it's for veterinary purposes. If you prepare that, add it to this Kush, it is getting more harm. Even your organs can be at risk. It's more vulnerable. That's how I think.
Yeah. Maybe Piero will answer to that later, but recently I saw a publication from this office that they've arrested some Sierra Leoneans with Kush, and this tends to go viral, saying, okay, they are transporting it into the country. I mean, so it's different from the Kush the documentaries that we watch from Sierra Leone, if I'm right.
No, well, when it comes to Delic's function, PRO will take up all this because I don't want to put on two caps.
That's good.
I want to focus more on
Okay.
what the task force is doing.
Okay.
When it comes to because we also receive information from DIC. Yes, I'm a DIC staff, but whatever interdictions, they have to feed us with interdiction informations, and medical will feed us with admission and patients attendance. We call it patient attendance list. We will compare those things and see, we will know the level of these schools in the country. But when it comes to arrest, PRO is here, he's a gentleman to handle those things.
Okay.
But actually, any schools arrested at the border or in the Gambia, somebody somewhere prepared. It's not natural, it's synthetic.
Okay.
People to understand it. There is no natural cause in circulation. It's synthetic because chemicals added to it. It's no more at its natural form. That's what I can do as of now.
Okay. At your level, as the head of the scientific unit, the work you will be carrying out will be huge. I mean, how are you carrying it out, and where are you getting your results from? And when these arrays are made, how long will it take for you to come out with the results? Because somebody watching will be like, "Ni amuñ bagas, dañ ko yóbbu ba Senegal put them test again." So, how easy or difficult is this carrying out this task?
Actually, I think when you look at Gambia in general, there's gaps with all institutions. Yes, we don't have equipment, but we have human capacity. And luckily, without that limited human capacity, we are able to run out so many parameters on this course to come with a very reliable resource. When samples were sent to Senegal, They also did all the investigation needed, and they came the same similar results. One can say NDA we don't have is, but we are performing to the best of our ability because the equipment we have are limited. Yes, we need advanced devices because the way Gambia, with the type of MPS, the MPSs we are seeing now, new psychosocial substances in the Gambia, we need advanced equipment to count and to identify them for legal process.
Okay. But will you also agree with me that despite the arrests being made and I mean, of course, I'm not giving you two cows, but the league is doing a great job in arresting, effecting arrests, and stopping a lot of entrances. But also, there are a lot of penetrations happening, and that's why most of these youths are accessing these drugs.
It seems as you are using the technical way of for me to involve in delicate issues. I say somebody's here to handle delicate issues.
I know,
Yes,
I know, but
I
it
know.
makes your work difficult as a
Yeah,
scientific.
yeah, we are. No, it's not difficult to that extent because we expect such things. You see, as a country develop, you anticipate all these things. People may not understand because today the media is open, we are having information accordingly. But the arrest is normal. We the statistics may increase, crime may increase. All this is what? Because media, people are using media. Your child of 18, 16, 12 will use the social media. Try to learn something from that media. Even the activities of criminals in Senegal, in Europe, and somebody somewhere who is not parental guide will involve in such activities. Before you even to use social media, you think about it. Today, the technology is getting advanced. We should anticipate all those things. And I know PR, when he come, will tell you the level of money, what NDA stands on these issues. They will tell you that they anticipate it and they are working on it.
Thank you very much. Unless you have one or two things that I did not ask and you want to add, I don't want to take much of your time, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. All what I want to say that the issue of there is 6 dead, 15 dead, 10 dead, those are all social media information. As of now, the task force received only 2 dead brought in deaths. They were not brought as healthy person or sick patient, but they were brought into the hospital to confirm that they died of allegation of Kush, cause of smoking Kush.
Okay.
All the cases are received at the health facilities were managed and discharged. The cause of death as at now, the toxicology forensic unit and the league and the task force are doing immense investigation to know the composition, whether it have high level medical complications. That's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Pabojang. You are watching Citizens Network Gambia, and we will now shift our attention to the PRO, Lavin Sediba, to take us more into some of the arrests and some of the things that they've been doing as far as curbing illicit drugs in the country is concerned. Mr. Sediba, you will agree with me that the amount of arrest effected for the past years, I mean 2022, 2023, getting into 2024, it's like things are skyrocketing. And, despite your office's effort in arresting or trying to curb illicit drug in the country, um, things are overpowering your office.
Thank you very much. I want to believe that the office is doing our best to ensure that we abate the situation. Drugs, it remains, we keep on saying this, people must understand. It's one of the most lucrative form of illicit trade. There's a lot of money involved in it. So therefore, the motivation is high. But regarding our seizure statistics, the seizure statistics show a fluctuating trend regarding the seizure of drugs. And then also, people must also understand when you talk about drug, there is what we call the changing trends in the dealing, abuse, and trafficking of drugs. Because as Commissioner said, these people are also businessmen, although it's an illegal business. They look at what is in the market. And remember with drugs, people must also understand that we have what we call tolerant. As people take a drug, the brain releases what you call dopamine. And this dopamine that is released gives that feeling of sensation. It goes through a time, people become tolerant to a particular type of drug. In a sense that if you were taking like, let's say, 2-3 sticks to get high, you need more than that. So they try to bring in more tolerant, more potent drugs. So this is why you can see a changing trend. And I think even the seizure statistics can show this. When you look at the type of drugs that were in the market before and the type of drugs that are in the market today.
From the rush to now.
Exactly. If you look at those trends, you can see a changing trend regarding the types of drugs that are in the market. But again, as we say, I mentioned this 2017 and many were not happy. But thank God we're coming to this when there was a change of government. When I said that many people are thinking that the law is jammy and jammy is gone, so otherwise they can openly abuse drugs. Many also did not understand the concept of democracy. They felt that it's like you have to do what you want to do, how you have to do it. So there is more open abuse of drug that was taking place. These were things that we raised. The records are there. So therefore, yes, the trend continued to change. We've registered some very significant seizures, but it's also important for us to look the changing trend. Like, for example, as you mentioned before, 2016, when you talk about cannabis, the type of drug cannabis that was more available in the market was cannabis sativa, and cannabis resin. That was hashish. Those were, in terms of the prohibited drugs. Yes, cocaine was seized, heroin will have been seized, but it was not at a very high level.
Minimal.
So coming to 2018 going onwards, there was a change. We now see the entry of what? Cannabis rudelaris. That is the skunk. Skunk started coming into the market. We have our warning system. The intelligence was analyzing this report. And since after the seizure in Brusubi, where that British national who was guising as a philanthropist and cultivating, was arrested. And again, this also gives you the trend. That seizure was not just a huge quantity, but it was even it was experimenting on the cultivation of different varieties of cannabis. So now imagine the mixture of this cannabis. This was something that was detected. So after that arrest, you can notice that there was a change in the trend. We now saw the entry of ecstasy, which some call the gao. But then, mostly, that's why when you say cannabis, people keep on talking cannabis. They think it's not only cannabis sativa that is in the market. You have cannabis sativa, you have cannabis resin that is called hashish. But even with the hashish, you also have another type that we call the Moroccan hashish. But if you could recall also, when we also seized and intercepted more than 600 blocks of Moroccan hashish in Yundum, which was more than a quarter ton, that also disrupted the market. Now, if you go to the shisha smoking, most of the time people will have different flavors that they were smoking.
Shisha?
Yes. But there was a trend that was changing. Instead of having the cigarette balls that have the flavor, some were preferring to do what? To put the hashish ball on it and smoke it. So this is why the trend continued to change. But now, when we come, let me just give you this breakdown when it comes to the controlled drugs. Prior to 2017, mostly, in fact, when we talk about controlled drug, what we used to say, Ross. Ross later. That was the common name. I am not saying that there was no Ginabas name or Kush or whatever, but that was the most common form of controlled drug. And in those days also, if you monitor clearly, they were putting them in soft drink or canned drinks. You will see somebody hold a canned drink for a very long period of time. Because you see, the reason why we are bringing this is we need to be able to clearly diagnose this situation so that we come up with a response that addresses the reality of what is on the ground. Otherwise, my head is paining me. There are 10,000 reasons why my head is paining me. We need to be able to diagnose the problem so that we know what is the actual problem and then we give the solution to it. I think that's why I can say setting up of this task force is highly commendable because it can bring in different perspective. Now, moving from there, you can see a change in the trend. But let me just give the statistics. In 2019, 325 tablets of diazepam was seized. 528 tablets was seized in 2020. 2,447 tablets was seized in 2021. However, clonazepam now decreased drastically in 2023 with only 3 tablets seized. The drop in the seizure of clonazepam coincided with a rise in the seizure of methamphetamine, tramadol, and ecstasy. So you see the changing trend.
Okay. Well, it was losing, the power it has, and
something is coming in.
Something is coming in.
And remember, when there was a change in government, the open of the business space, people are coming. You have to observe, a lot of things will change. We'll even go to how the drugs were coming, what we saw, and what were the changes. Now, methamphetamine, if you look at it, gradually increases. In 2020, only 25 tablet was seized. In 2021, 85 tablet was seized. Then coming to 2022, 541 tablet was seized. Now notice that when clonazepam has decreased to 3 tablet in 2023, what happened here with methamphetamine? 3,854 tablet was seized.
Wow.
So you see in the connection.
Yeah.
Now, moving from there, tramadol also, nothing was seized in 2020. 92 tablet was seized in 2021. 1,130 tablet was seized in 2022. And now it also dropped to 83 tablet in 2023. But this drop coincided with a rise in something else. That is the time ecstasy started coming in. Now, ecstasy in 2020, only 12 tablet was seized. 2021, only 32 tablet. Now, with the drop that we noticed with this tramadol here, 11,385 tablet of ecstasy was seized in 2023. The changes in this trend, as you can see, there was changes regarding the ROS, diazepam, and others that are being seized.
These are all different type of drugs that are used in the country.
Exactly. You know, we have these drugs, we have two categories in this schedule. You have prohibited drugs, you have controlled drugs. The prohibited drugs, you have the cannabis sativa, all the various type of cannabis. You have the cocaine, you have the heroin, all those fall under those categories. And then you have the prohibited drugs that the law allows, but under controlled regulation. If it's found with you, you must have a prescription from a certified medical practitioner.
Okay,
Otherwise,
so you mean these are the ones that are given at the hospitals or pharmacies?
Exactly. But then also we have different types of them. We have normal medicinal drugs, but among those drugs, that's why when you go to the pharmacy, you can see over-the-counter drugs. Then you also have the right one called prescription drugs. So with those one, you must have a prescription. So now among those, you have the clonazepam, the diazepam, the tramadol. You know, these are used sometimes to treat some mental health condition or sometimes severe pain that people are going through. So now you can notice that the reduction in the seizure of clonazepam coincided with a rise in the increase of the seizure of methamphetamine and tramadol. Whilst methamphetamine took the highest level in 2023 with about 3,854 tablets, it also coincided with an increase of a massive level of more than 11,000 tablets of ecstasy. That is called the Gao Gao, which is about 11,385.
So they name it Gao Gao.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now, you see, the interesting part with this is most of this was seized through the post office. When you are focused at the land, sea, and the air borders, entry point, they're looking at another gap. As I said, even if there was no motivation on this, the money is not huge. Even the most advanced countries will not have this problem. We all know even the US, with all advancement in every area, they have a very serious problem because drugs is the most lucrative form of illicit trade, and there is a lot of money that is involved in it. So they are able to buy their way out. They are able to use advanced systems. They are able to use different concealment methods to be able to get their drugs. Another thing that we noticed when this ecstasy thing come on board was that sometimes, we remember, if you remember one of our postings, is even on our Facebook page, these bosses that were coming from Mali. We noticed that, yes, the Malian bosses that were coming in, there was interception regarding huge quantities of these controlled drugs. Sometimes tramadol, sometimes ecstasy, different others, sometimes methamphetamine, especially methamphetamine. So you can see the changing trend. And I hope that the statistics will be able to give this breakdown. Now, Kush, as I said, entered into the market. If you look at our seizure statistics, 2020, there was no seizure of Kush. In 2021, there was one case, and this case was 7 grams that was seized in Carnegie, and it was a Sierra Leonean national. Now, for 2022 also, nothing of Kush was seized. Coming to 2023, for the first 2 months, there was no seizure of Kush. The statistics are here, and in fact, as you were talking with Pa, he's telling you that is cannabis strain. I will give you some pictures and you see pictures of some of the Kush that is being seized. And hopefully in subsequent publication, we can go to the scientific unit and the exhibit store. You see some of these Kush. The interesting thing about it being a strain of cannabis is that most of these other cannabis, you see the seeds beside the resin. For this one, you will not see any seed. And then you can even, when I give you the price, you can see the difference. So for the first 2 months in 2023, nothing was seized. The first case in 2023 again also was a Sierra Leonean, or 2 Sierra Leoneans that were arrested with 58 wraps in Kololi. That is in March 2023. Now, nothing was seized in April, and then in Yundum, we seized again about 35 wrap in May. And this time around, it's a Gambian. The first time now a Gambian is arrested with it.
May 2023.
Yes. Now, between June to September, that is the time we saw an increase. But within that period, the majority of those who were arrested with it were Sierra Leonean nationals. Now, for the whole of the year, what was seized was about 7 kilograms. Some will say, what of tons of cannabis is being seized? If you even see the way they package it, you will see the difference between Kush and this other strain of cannabis, because the package even is very small. And something that is like this, which is packaged like this, going for like $300 to sometimes $400. And if they use the medical plastic bag, that is $1,000. So that tells you how potent it is. It's not like the other cannabis that you can just be smoking anyhow like that, because taking it in even smaller quantity is a big problem. Now, our seizure statistics for 2023 shows that there was a changing trend. North Bank region also, we experienced huge seizures of Kush. And at the same time also, there were seizures at the border post in Nyamanar, in URR. And most of the time, it was ladies that were being intercepted. Some will, yes, some will either conceal it in Bluetooth speakers, their wigs, their bags, or bring in palm oil, concealing it in it. So therefore, this is why we looked from this particular trend to be able to build a profile. And recently as 2 weeks back, there was a seizure of about 2 bundles of it and more than 1,000 tablets of tramadol that we seized at the Guinea garage. That is the Sierra Leone garage here in Bundum. But the interesting thing, like Pa said, was 225 milligrams. Imagine a human being taking this. And this takes me back to when I talked about the change in the trend. Initially, it was the Ross and a bottle of drink. But what has happened today? You will find energy drink in the market.
Yes.
Initially, it was 18% vodka. 22% to now some are even saying there is 40%. I saw 35%, but some are saying there is 40%. Imagine somebody having that. You can go to the shops today and buy this raw gin. Very, very raw gin. Imagine something that you pour here today, you light match on, or you even buy meat.
Flames, yeah.
Just buy meat and put it on it and see what it does to it. So imagine somebody sitting at one place. My type, in a sense that we are all just poor. You cannot even have proper 3 square meal in a day. From morning to night, you smoke cannabis, you smoke cigarette, you take that gin, or you go and buy that energy drink. Take this ecstasy. And interestingly, the highest quantity of ecstasy that was ever seized was seized at the post office. And it was more than 11 tablets of tramadol. 11 tablets of ecstasy. See the way they package it. It was not packaged as the way other medical drugs are. So that even shows you that you don't even know the chemical composition of this drug. And these are not through laboratory standards that have quality standard, or laboratories that have quality standards. Where do they even manufacture them? Who is the person what are the chemicals there? Now you take that, put it in that energy drink that have caffeine, taurine, vodka. At the same time, again, you are drinking gin. It can lead to serious complication.
Oh, yes.
That's why if you look at those who have, when we diagnose mental health issues, even drugs, in the ICD, you use 2 key manuals. You have the ICD, International Classification of Diseases. You have the DSM, that is the ICD is of the WHO, and then you have the DSM, Diagnosis Statistical Manual. There is a code that we call F19. This is multiple drug use and the problems that it can cause, especially psychotic conditions that it can cause. So this is why I am saying, we are not saying that Kush is not the problem. What we are saying is, we've seen the change in the trend. And this is not only by us. Refer to the World Drug Report. They will tell you that one key challenge that the world is facing today is the constant changes in the trend and the advent of what we call NPS, new psychoactive substances. And then you have this ATS, amphetamine type stimulant. Because all these people want is to have something that is potent. And what they also notice is that 60% of the global drugs that are seized, you can see a change in the trends regarding the type of drugs that are seized. Even when it comes to cannabis, you're having a lot of different type of synthetic cannabinoids that are coming into the market, that the strains and the compositions continue to change.
So the potent goods continue to get higher
And higher.
Makes people,
and interestingly, we must note that the World Drug Report indicate that in the next 10 years, global drug use is expected to increase by 11%. And Africa is projected to account for 40% of such increase. This is in the World Drug Report that is published by the UNODC. So therefore, this is a warning sign. And interestingly, what it also shows is that 40% of the youth who perceive drug to be harmful is decreasing. So we have a lot of work. This is in the world, reference the World Drug Report. So this is why I say, let's always reference back to statistics. So this is why we are saying, for an evidence-based approach, I contact Dr. Jallo, the guy in charge of the psychiatric hospital in Sierra Leone. We are part of the Wendu network. We work closely together. There is what we call West African Epidemiology Network on drug use. At the AU level, we have the PINDU. We work together. Try to get some information from him. What we are recommending for an evidence-based response, this is why this task force include the Epidemiology and Disease Control Unit. Anybody who knows epidemiology, you will see the relevance of them to be able to understand this is the trend. You also have the Non-Communicable Disease Unit, NCD. You have the Directorate of Health Service being represented, the Regional Health Directorate being represented. Youth are mostly affected. You have the Youth Council. And then also you have the Red Cross. You have other sister security services. We are talking about the border entry point. So this is why this multi-sectorial team was formed, so that we can be able to look at it from a comprehensive perspective. Now, on our part, there is the need for further analysis so that we can understand the chemical composition of this drug. Sierra Leone might have this, but what is in the Gambia, it's important for you to understand that. That is on the supply part. That is why when they were having some information from the lab, they say, okay, let's send it further to Senegal so that they can also do their own analysis. But interestingly, what people also fail to realize is this NPS, the key challenge with the NPS, CND, the Commission on Narcotic Drug, regulate issues relating to drugs. INCB, International Narcotic Control Board, monitor the movement of these drugs to promote access to controlled drug and prevent diversion. But NPS, in some instance, these are drugs that are not under international control, or maybe by the time the regulation was coming into effect, that drug is not in the market. So if the agent that you are using to do that analysis, the library there, they cannot know about that until further analysis is done.
And that leads me to my next question about the issue of this Kush. We've watched the documentary, BBC, DW, on how it's been made, produced in Sierra Leone, going to cemeteries, taking human bones. You guys are effected a lot of arrests, doing a lot of work, but you will also agree with me that, you cannot arrest everybody, or you cannot arrest all the trafficking coming in. Some might smuggle in and come in and give it to these youths.
I think I have said that in any country. I even mentioned to you those that even
US,
have
yes.
the most advanced technology than us. We will come to that. Abating drug is not only on arrest. No, it's a balanced approach. You need a balanced, integrated, multi-sectorial approach between supply suppression and drug demand reduction. And even when you arrest people, they go through the criminal justice system. You want to reform, rehabilitate, and reintegrate people back into society. Otherwise, they come out, they end up becoming more dangerous. You are arresting kids who come into contact with the criminal justice system. What is going to be the outcome if the processes are not resilient or improved? So this is why we're saying, on that aspect, we're doing that. But on the treatment aspect, what we are also promoting is, let's see toxicology reports, let's conduct consensual urine and blood analysis on some of these patients who are coming in with these cases. Not only stopping at that, refer them to the clinician, let the psychiatrist, let them be able to evaluate these people and then come up with their report and recommendation. At the same time, we need to conduct more studies to understand the trend, to understand the behavior. This does not mean that the activities that are already in place will not solve the problem. Or we're just going to fold our hand to it, no, until the task force finish. No, you've seen, I share with you our weekly report. Last week alone, you can see 41 people are arrested for the last week period alone, 34 cases. And among those, you have more than 20 Gambians and more than 11 Sierra Leoneans. So, yes, intelligence is doing their work to do that area. And what is being done in that area, you have to remember, we cannot give everything out in the public. We will inform the public, but we'll also be very mindful not to compromise the integrity of our operational system.
You are not
Because
sophisticated enough to, to tackle all these problems.
no, what we believe is there is one thing that is key, even where you have almost all those technology, human intelligence. Human intelligence is key. Because all of these things do not happen in isolation. It's being carried out by people. So even in the most advanced countries, with everything, they still rely on information. So we will come to that. Yes, we have challenge. I will not sit here and say that we do not have challenge. We have challenge. We are discussing with partners, but each of these challenges, you have to understand, we have different stakeholders, and different methods are going to be used to engage the stakeholders. When we engage with the authorities, we know what we've put towards them, towards areas that are our constraint, and how they are going to help to address it. And this, I think, is something that the Kush issue, or the problem in the country being attributed to Kush, is bringing some of these things into the limelight. Let me come to those areas. We'll address all of those. This is why we are saying, if you have those reports, the toxicology report in that area, we will be able to understand. I spoke with the doctor in Sierra Leone. When we talk about this thing, I told him about issues of some of the patients, they are having problem with their tongues.
Yeah.
People have to hold their tongue. He said, well, in that case, possibly you need to do more further analysis, because there are psychotic medications that are being taken that can result in some of these things. Maybe methadone and other things. So you see, the common man can talk, but when you're having a policy, you need to be able, even so that when you engage the WHO, for example, or other partners, UNODC, you don't just go because somebody says something. You need to be able to have at least a preliminary finding on an evidence of what is happening. Like these are seizure statistics that I've given you. This is what the hospital is saying. And this is what their evaluations have shown. And these are some of our challenges. And among those challenges, this is why we are pushing that there is a need for the country to have a specialized rehabilitation center. Because no matter what, the prevention, there are people who need treatment. So this is why we are engaging health and bringing different stakeholders. So at the end of the day, a comprehensive report that will be able to evaluate our value system, our value chain, look at some of the weaknesses, see how we improve on them so that we address this thing. But one thing that we must keep on understanding, and that's why when you look at drug, the word always is supply suppression. This Kush, I'm telling you, you share it. The smallest of this, I told you, is $300. The one in the medical plastic is how much? It's $1,000. So how much will a kilo cost? When we are saying pure high-grade cocaine going for 1,500 to 1.5, 1.1, how to call it, 1.5 million. So with this, possibly you can make 1 million.
This Kush that
So, and then look at this other thing. But why I'm saying more, let's look at the trend and dig deep into this. At the same time, simultaneously reinforcing our operational system, also reinforcing our educational programs. And this Dili cannot do alone. We need the media on board. We need members of the public. I have kept on saying this, and I think even one of my engagement in QTV, I said this.
Government is number one in this.
Government is number one, but no one.
You guys are going for operations without weapons. And that's, last time, remember last time you were fired at and you all ran away.
No.
You see, you have a tax force.
But the boys actually effected an arrest in that case. I remember when one of the jungler was arrested by our guys. Yeah. And what happened? The CDS was like, how is this possible? The boys definitely, these are, as I said, stakeholders. Stakeholders are being engaged to address those because there are challenges. Definitely. I will not sit here and say there are no challenges. The ambushes, that's why sometimes when people say this case is compromised in this area, I feel it. Because those who know, you have gone with us to the bush. Yeah. What these boys go through, Like this, I give this example. This is your production now. You know what you put behind having this. You have your cameraman, you have all your resources. Wouldn't you? Why are you doing this? So that the public will be aware and informed of what you have done. If somebody try to compromise this, the integrity of this, will you be happy about it? These boys sometimes go to the bush, set ambush in places. Sometimes you are lying down in an ambush in an area, there is a snake over there. Some of these people, especially in the area of Casamasia, what happens? They go with their guns. You have covered a lot of our cases. They have cutlass. In fact, most of the trafficking cases from West Coast region here around the borderline or in the bushes there, if you don't find them with the local gun, you will find them with cutlasses. And it will amaze you if I give you the statistics of the number of firearms that were arrested and handed over to the police. So the boys, yes, but again, management is aware about this. But we are engaging the relevant authorities. You know, you need to have your communication strategy to engage different stakeholders so that this can come to the limelight. But again, as we are saying, arrest alone cannot solve this problem. I will not sit here. Yes. You know, you talk about your area. You live in your area. I also live in Talindin. I live in Kololi. So. Yeah, I know Kololi. I used to tell people that most of those who play our Nawetan zonals, when they qualify, they try to go there for the main competition. Or let me just say, when they play the qualifier rounds for the Nations Cup, that is where the World Cup takes place. But then remember, the new challenge some of us also are facing in those our areas, open drug abuse of this youth using this, and the young ones are seeing them. So it's also a challenge. I live also in Talindin. I know what I see in Talindin. You know what you see in Talindin. But let's come back to the reality. Government has a responsibility, but parents also have a responsibility. We need to take time to do a reflection, seriously deep reflection. I will take my area for example. I have had parents that have seen their kids doing some things. I spoke to them about it. You'll not believe. I have said this in many platforms, and I keep on saying it in the open, so that they will hear me saying it. They were not happy about it. Some will even malice you. You have some complaining in the area when it's Nani's son. If his son is arrested, say Munekela, Nyanta Munekela, Usman Jawiyatale. He is wicked. I came to him. So the problem, and as I said, I'll go back to my initial point that I want to talk. Everybody is saying drug is a problem, and we are complaining about this problem. Mm-hmm. If it is actually a problem, we need the CSOs on board. Yeah. We cannot do it alone. We are running our radio programs, launching drug-free clubs in school. Just last week in Brikama, this drug-free club that we've launched, the teacher coordinators organize a drama competition among the students. We even plan on doing a quiz competition. All this to capacity, but we cannot do it alone. Because sometimes me as Sediba, there are some segment of the population there. As long as I'm from the drug law enforcement, it becomes very difficult for me to talk to them. Exactly. So if all of us are complaining that it's a problem, let us come together. Because the reality of what is happening, and let me tell you, the traffickers will not stop. They will never stop.
Never. It's a lucrative business.
We've seen the change in the trend. You know, I give you the example of some of these other drugs. Look at what happened when we seized that drug in Yundum. We were talking about that before we think about it. What happened at the seaport? Almost 3 tons. Yeah, before we could settle down on that, what happened at Bichilo? More than 800 kilograms. Before we could settle on that, what happened? More than 11,000 tablets. There is money. You cannot be cheap to fight drugs. Yes, the boys are doing all they can, but the agency also needs support. Support from the public, and then also support in terms of, that's why I said to me, this task force is very important. Their work is very, very important. It's a multi-sectorial task force. Through this, there will be a proper evaluation to identify gaps. Perhaps this is opportunity. If we gather these things that we are talking about, we can see gaps in our forensic capability. How do we improve on it? And that's the time, with the reports that we've gathered, we can engage our partners, engage the authorities to say, yes, this we need, like, for example, FTIR machines to boost our forensic capability to be able to do more further in-depth qualitative analysis. With the report from the clinicians, we need, it's high time, it's paramount that we have a specialized drug treatment facility in the country.
Yeah, but tanka is not the solution.
Yeah, in fact, the thing is,
Honestly.
people fail to realize this. I can be addicted to drug. I'm not necessarily psychotic. It all has to do with the mind.
Mine.
But again, maybe it's not just the facility. This could also help us to evaluate and find out what are the gaps that we have in terms of treatment providers. What are the gaps that we have in terms of treatment guidelines, if any exist? We come to the supply part. What are the gaps that we have regarding, like you were talking, operational mobility, operational efficiency, resilience of our system? Do we need to arm, which we know the act is taking care of, that will go to the assembly? How do we go about doing that? What of our operational mobility in terms of vehicles? What about in terms of funding to source information? Remember, I told you there is a lot of money in it. If you are giving your informant or somebody giving information $500, is the person who is bringing is giving him 10 million or $10,000, it becomes a problem. But then, that's why we need citizens, because at the end of the day, none of us are safe. Yes, what I want to say is that finally, there is a challenge, but it's a collective responsibility. And the reality is, let us not think that it will go away like that. No. Every nation on earth, in fact, drug, I always say this, is the persistent phenomenon that no nation on earth can boast to have totally eradicated. Saudi have the death penalty for it. You think people are still not entering with it? People are entering with it. But however, collectively, let's come together. You are within an area sometimes, some of these boys, even, if government employment opportunities are not available, maybe you have a construction company, you can engage some of them. I've seen people doing this. And they've been able to reform some of these people. But my fellow youth also, I keep on telling them this. All of us have passed through trials in our lives. Some of us, those who know us before, know what we go through. But what I always tell them is, some, okay, like when they want to rebel against society, turn to drugs. If you say people don't want me, people don't like me, they don't want me to succeed, and you turn to drugs, are you not making them happy? What you need to do, be patient, be persistent, persevere. Work on something that will build your future. So that when you succeed tomorrow, those people will be disappointed. But if you turn to drugs, if the law does not catch you, what happens? You end up getting psychotic, severe complications. So definitely I'll appeal to my fellow youth. This Kush thing, I know of somebody, a boy, I can tell you this, huh? He was passing, he met this boy smoking, and then he took this, he went to another different level. When I looked at him, I looked at the people, I told him, boy, you mean time off? He was denying. But when we went home, we laid him down, they gave him something. When he came to and he was normal, what did he say? Uncle, sorry, man. Kush, lie. But I quite have So the thing that is there is, these drugs are coming into the market. These dealers don't care about you. The agency will do all what it can. But as you said, drugs will always make their way to the market. What we want is to capacitate our youth so that they can make informed choices. If I sit here and say that we can do it alone, I will be lying. We need support, we need collaboration so that we can be able to address this menace.
All right, finally, in 2 minutes, we've talked about Kush for quite a long time. I want to understand, and I want to start a campaign of eradicating this name, Ginabas. What is exactly Ginabas under 2 minutes, and how will I just want to remove this name attached to it.
I think Pa has said it.
Yes.
It's a strain of cannabis, but what makes it different is the potency. Why they call it Ginabas, I believe, just like the Gao Gao, was that swiftly
it takes you high.
To another level. So the mode of action on the person who uses it is high. But then I believe we can launch the campaign like these pictures that I've shared with you in your WhatsApp. And maybe further we go to the lab, you're able to see this and get the exhibit to understand this. People see it. Because some people, even when you say Kush, they're talking about a specific strain of cannabis. But what makes it different is the chemical composition of this cannabis. mixing it with fentanyl, diazepam, tramadol. There was a time our people would arrest cocaine. You take it to the lab, you analyze, you find traces of diazepam, tramadol in it.
in the cocaine.
Exactly. So yes, what we even want is we don't even want our youth attributing it to only how do you call it, Ginabath, but we don't even want using it anywhere near it. It is not your common cannabis sativa. And I tell these boys sometimes, you come, you meet your friend smoking, you meet him wrap something, you may not know. It may be the normal cannabis, but what do they do? They mix it. Perhaps he has put some of this Kush
It
in
used to
it.
be hash. It used to be only cannabis and hash, but now they
In fact, now what some will do, they will have the cannabis, put the some take blend, the cigarette. Some have even left cigarette. Perhaps now, because of the potency of the Kush, put the Kush, grind the ecstasy and sprinkle it on it.
And wrap it. Oh.
Imagine what that can do. Me, this is why I keep on saying, I am not saying Kush is not the problem. What I am saying, because I have clear understanding on how some of these boys use this drug. And imagine, as I was giving you this example, 225 milligram of tramadol in your system. Your liver cannot even process that. And this raw gin that you are taking, I had a friend that used to take gin. There was a time when we took him to the hospital when it was late, his liver was hanging. His kidneys, it damaged all of it.
And you want to take that gin and mix it up with all that.
It cannot make sense.
Thank you very
so
much.
Let them value their feature.
Honestly.
Turning to drugs, rebelling against society cannot solve the problem. But however, let us all join hands.
Yes, that's the solution.
Let us all join hands. The league alone cannot solve this problem.
Thank you very much. Usman Sediba is the PRO of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia. I hope we've all learned and we will take up the responsibility as citizens, as parents, as brothers and sisters in making sure that we stop, our young ones, our youth, which consists of the larger quantity of this country, to stop using these drugs. Thank you so very much for watching Citizens Network Gambia. Till we come your way again. Bye for now.